Live. Yay!
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Happy birthday!
Yay!
Yeah. Very quickly for people who are joining, I don't know if you're here right at the beginning or if you're tuning later, whatever. This is my birthday party with some of my cute friends. So we've got Shannon from 155 Books, Anna from Read to Me at Midnight.
Yeah, I just realised I forgot to put my thing.
Charlotte from Coiny Reads, and Ethan from Pretty Purple Polka Dot, and Rosie from Sparkles Books will be joining us, I think, in about half an hour. So we're just gonna sit and chat and hang out, and I want to play the Guess the Booktube again, but only 2 of you have given me stories.
Sorry.
So if you don't want to do stories, give or send me one. I will do the 2 that I've got and do one for myself. So then there's 3, and hopefully
I can send you one now.
if you would like, you don't have to. No pressure.
The issue I tend to have with these is feeling like there's nothing interesting about me. Like,
oh my god, there's like I have been on this planet for 28 years and I did nothing in all that time.
we used to do that for uni events whenever it was like, introduce yourself and give an interesting fact. I was like, oh. What is interesting about me?
Okay. Right, there's 2 people watching. I don't care how many people are watching.
Got champagne.
Open the birthday prosecco.
Ooh.
Oh, I hate doing this. Hang on. Oh, Tom, I don't like it. Like, you're in the way.
You're gonna be fine. I'm more saying that for me than you.
Your mum's giving me a faulty bottle.
I love that I'm ducking as if it's gonna like hit me in the face.
You're giving me a fake bottle. Nearly that. Woo! It has never taken me so long to open a bottle of Prosecco in my life. I was a barmaid for 4 years. I know how to open a bottle.
Excellent. So how does 26 feel?
I forgot that I was no longer 25 until about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Oh, hang on, I'm 20. I'm 26. And he was like, yes, that's what happens when it's your birthday. You get older. Like, no, to celebrate something happy.
I mean, in fairness, there has not been much time to do that this year.
No, and then we got that announcement of the lockdown, and I was like, that's it, my birthday is over. And then there was a little bit of hope when they were like, all the shops are opening. And I was like, oh, yay, maybe I can go to the pub, 1 drink. And I was like, no, Leicester, tier 3.
Nice. Is everybody else in tier 3 or tier 2?
I'm in 2.
Tier 2, I think.
I have like a completely different system, so I feel really left out.
Yeah, it's different. I don't get that.
Yeah. So over here, I'm in Germany. We've been in lockdown since, I think, the same time as you guys, the start of November. And we were meant to come out of it on the 1st of December, but then that was extended until the 20th of December. And now, I think either yesterday or the day before, it was extended again until the 10th of January.
So there is a Christmas break for you guys.
We have a Christmas break. So I'm staying in Germany this year for Christmas because my flights home have been cancelled and I didn't want to go home on the 23rd because that's the last day I can get home.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go home the 23rd, have to isolate actually over Christmas, not get to see anybody, and then be back on a plane here for the 30th.
Yeah.
So I said, look, I'm just going to stay here this Christmas and then me and my partner will come over to Ireland next year. So for Christmas, from the 22nd to the 26th or 7th, you can meet in groups of up to 10 from 4 households rather than in groups of 5 from 2, which is like, it covers us, which is fine, but it's better than how it is. But shops have been open the whole time, so I've been able to buy books, which has not been helpful. clothes shops have been open, all of that, but restaurants are closed, cafes are closed, gyms are closed, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, gyms are open here apparently.
The whole time, or just now?
Isn't, because my mum wanted to go swimming again, and swimming is closed, but gyms are open.
You might go swimming, but
So
you can go
weird.
to the gym.
See, ours, you can go to the gym and you can go swimming at the gym. We can't do classes for whatever reason. I mean,
But you can do like weights and
just like,
stuff.
yeah. But spin, no.
No.
No. See, none of it makes sense.
No. And I get they didn't. I bet they didn't explain all the rules clearly as well, because why would Boris Johnson want to do anything helpful?
They did a lot better this time than previous times. But one of the things that really annoyed me is in the build up to the tiers, they were saying it's going to be a stricter tier system. It's going to be, a lot. And then they just went, well, all the shops are open, no matter which tier you're in.
Helpful.
I was like, right, the gyms are open, right? Well, they were shut for 6 months. And what part of this is tighter? Because this is definitely the most freedom we've had in Leicester since June.
Yeah.
But
Is it still really bad in Leicester? The rates?
in Leicester, we're apparently still the 8th in the UK, the 8th worst in the UK.
Ooh.
As a whole area. But what hasn't changed is the fact that people are getting paid £3.50 an hour to work in the factories, and they're being threatened with losing their jobs, being fired. They do go to the factories. Sorry, Tom's doing the washing up, asking if it's too loud. So factories. Obviously, they're making £3.50 an hour, so they can't afford to lose their jobs. So they're going to work if they're unwell.
Right.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed for 9 months. So,
And that doesn't help.
no. And obviously, like, the factories and the slaughterhouses are where it's spreading the most.
And obviously there's 2 universities as well.
Yeah.
So
universities apparently had a really low rate.
I know, I find that very odd, considering they expected everyone to like move in and live together in the halls when term started. So I'm just a bit like,
Are you just not telling us?
Yeah. I think when you think about how many people get freshers flu.
Yeah.
I know.
Freshers flu is so much bigger.
Every year I had it, and even when I worked, because I went to Leicester Uni, and then even when I worked there the year after I graduated, I got it then, because I was like
Oh my God.
working with the students. So that's why I was just so surprised the way they're like, oh, the rate's really low, and I'm like, is it?
I don't know how they make those decisions, but because they give out a free test at the uni, my plan is to get a test like the week before Christmas, just to make sure that when I go to Tom's family, that it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who has to go into an office to work. I don't want to ruin everybody's Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
It's so scary though. It's like there were like stats on the news the other day as well that the tests that they're using are only like 70% effective, or like 70% know like whether or not it's correct. And I just feel like, how have like other countries managed to like do it, and then somehow you're like, oh, we can do it like 50%, and then you just have to like wing it, it's just really strange.
I know people where like the whole household has had it and everyone has had symptoms, but one person has tested negative.
Yes, I've come across that.
Like, well, you all had the symptoms and everyone else tested positive, but you tested it now.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Well, no conspiracy theories here, guys.
Keep it controlled.
It's just, I feel so naive as well, because back in March I had convinced myself that everything would be fine by December. Last night would have been my first night out of the year, and nope.
Well, because it was my birthday, I think 2 days before we went into actual official lockdown, but everything had been shut. At that point. Yeah. And I remember like I remember just like celebrating with my parents and thinking, oh, it'll be fine. It's okay that we've had to cancel all the plans because like by June it'll be fine. We'll be able to go down to London, do all the theatre stuff we had planned. No. It's very much looking like I will spend all of 25 in my house.
Yeah, it was at the end of June, and I was like, yeah, we'll be out of it by then. We will definitely be out of it by then, and we were nowhere near out of it by June.
We knew nothing.
No.
Oh, it's so sad.
I was celebrating my 25th birthday last year at the Taylor Swift club night.
I was thinking about that earlier and was just like, oh, how different this year.
How fast it's gone. It's been like simultaneously the longest and quickest year of my life.
Yeah.
Mad. if you'd have said to all of us, like January even, did you think you were going to be spending 9 months just in your house in at least a steady amount of fear for that entire period? I don't believe that.
It's a whole baby-making process. Like, the whole time of pregnancy has passed.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Which is why so many people seem to be announcing right now. I'm seeing so many people. It's a bit mad.
I don't think I would choose now.
No, I would not.
I thought that it was a good time to have a baby during lockdown because a lot of like mothers and fathers who would normally have to go back to work got to spend loads of time at home with like a newborn. So like my next door neighbor had a baby during lockdown, and it was just nice to know that they were like all there at the same time.
Yeah, it's been. Sorry.
No, carry on.
No, I was going to say because my sister has a 2.5-year-old. She turned 2 during lockdown, and it's actually been a really good time to be with her because her language has come on so much. And it's like, is it because she's been around us more, or would that have happened naturally anyway? But it's like, oh my God, you're turning into a little person. I've been able to watch it.
Aww.
It's so cute.
Shall we do the Guess the Booktube again?
Yes.
So I have 3 stories. What I am going to ask is the person whose story it is, vote for somebody else. Everybody say who they think it is, and if it's yours, pick somebody else. Just So, story number 1. Once at Comic-Con, me and a friend had to leave Tom Felton's Q&A early, and he called us out on it, and everyone laughed, and it genuinely still haunts me. Who do we think?
Can I go first?
Yeah, of course. I can't.
I'm thinking. I'm trying to imagine people dressed up. So I'm going to go with Charlotte for some reason.
No, I don't know why, but when you read out the story, I immediately thought it was Shannon.
So,
that was also my instinct, but I don't know why. I have no evidence for this.
It's just a feeling.
Wait, Shah, did you say that you've got a story in here as well?
Potentially.
I'll go for Charlotte to make it more exciting.
I'm trying to think. I'm changing my mind. Yeah, I'm saying Shah now just because I don't know. I'm going to regret that.
Okay. I'm not going to reveal the answer until I've done all the stories, because then you're going to start eliminating people. Okay. So the next story I have is this booktuber once accidentally helped somebody to break in and steal a car. Keyword being accidentally.
this something we should be revealing in a live stream?
That's a good point.
Accessory to a crime.
I know.
I have been assured that it was legally resolved.
Nice.
Do you hear something and you think, that's not being work, that's something I would do, and not realise? I would be so naive to just be like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can help you with that. Yeah.
I feel like Anna.
I knew I shouldn't have worn this hat. I think it's the hat that's like makes me look shady.
I think because of that, I'm going to say Aoife, because she was the first one to suggest someone else.
Ooh.
Oh, mind games.
But then with that in mind, could it be Shannon, because she's like trying to double the whole thing?
No. This is like Cluedo. I'm trying to use like the practical
Just like
my brain, and it's just like not working.
Has everybody guessed that one?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
They just went in a whole circle.
Yeah.
Okay. This booktuber, well, let me read the story, once saw their local MP buying a Christmas tree and was stood gossiping about them behind their wife in the queue.
Eve looks guilty. Just go away.
Hide behind the one. Just hide behind the one.
Oh, yay, wine friends.
Yay!
Yay.
Chin chin!
Cheers.
Oh, I'm going to go Shar.
I'm going to go with Charlotte.
Yeah.
I changed my mind on the first one.
Wait, was it the booktuber who was gossiping about this MP? I'm trying to like picture it in my head. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go with Shar simply because I know that you talk about politics and stuff on Twitter, and I can picture you talking about an MP in public.
That's fair logic. The last one then is, I've lost it. Okay. This booktuber had a Christmas miracle a couple of years ago where their cat came back from the dead, and they will tell the story afterwards.
That's pretty impressive.
Anna.
Charlotte. She looks like a cat owner.
Is that a compliment?
Yes.
It's always a compliment. Always.
Yeah, cat people are the best people.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say Charlotte as
Charlotte's
well.
a cat owner.
Did you pick one, Shannon?
Yeah, I said Anna.
Okay. Right. I think that's all the
I
story.
can't remember who I said for which one.
One person let the team down and didn't give a story. I'm joking completely. Okay, so will the booktuber who left Tom Felton's Q&A please make themselves known?
Oh no!
It's honestly like it's not even that bad, but I was so embarrassed. So, like the situation was that so me and my friend had to leave for a different Q&A because we'd paid for that one. So we like the Tom Felton one was free. So we're like, okay, we don't want to be late for the one we've paid for. And then he was about to get up and sing a song. So we're like, okay, we shouldn't leave like before he sings the song. And then he sang the song and then we had to leave. And then I dropped my phone, my friend dropped her water bottle, so it made like a big like hoo-ha. And then he like kind of laughed and I was like, oh, my song wasn't that bad, was it? And it was just like it was just awful. And I just felt like honestly my heart just like wouldn't stop for like an hour. I was so stressed that like we'd offended him. I was so scared.
That's really cute.
Oh,
But of all the people who were there, you made an impression on him.
Yeah.
That's the way to win it.
yeah, I was like, at least I got noticed.
Okay. The next story then, well, the booktuber who accidentally tried to help someone steal a car make themselves known.
Probably like the least likely person. Yeah. It was a very weird night out, and the next day, like me and my friend woke up and were like, "Did that actually happen?" It's a long story, but we were just trying to be like good citizens and like nice people, and we walked past this car and this girl like out the window was like, "Oh, someone's tried to like hotkey my car using a Kirby grip, and it's a family emergency, and I have to get it out and actually like drive to help my mum or whatever." So we got in the car and tried to like help her take it out. We'd had obviously a few to drink, and then loads of other things started piling up, and then we started to realize that she was the one that was trying to steal the car, and we were like, oh my god. So we got out, and then we like found a bouncer who then told the police. So we tried to help her, and then we snitched on her, which I think is probably even worse. But yeah, it's one of my best stories. But still, I'm just a bit like, oh dear. But honestly, we were just trying to be nice. Just
That's
so
what
gullible.
they all say.
So the booktuber who saw the MP in the shop buying a Christmas tree and was gossiping about them behind their wife make themselves known. That was me. Happened today. Yes, today.
Oh, I love a fresh story.
It's not that fun, it's politics, but it's the only one I can think of. Me and Tom went to Homebase to buy Christmas decorations, and as we were queuing, he stood there going, that's John Ashworth, that's the MP, that's our MP. And I was like, okay. He stood in his mouth, getting on with his business. We'd let this woman in the queue because I think the queue had got a bit confused and she was there before us, just in the wrong place. So we said, oh, you go in front of us, it's fine. And Tom just kept standing there going, should I go and say hi and like thank him for, because he's been like really good for Leicester lately. And I was like, no, don't do that. At one point, the woman in front of us turned around and nodded her head. But we just thought she was listening to us gossip about the MP. And then as we got to the queue, we walked past and heard them speaking to the cashier, and Tom was like, yeah, that was him. I was like, okay, let's march out the shore. I just added it because I knew I had to add a story. And the person, I don't know the story behind this one, but can this person whose cat came back to life please make themselves known?
That was me. Yeah. This was Christmas 2016, I think. Yeah. And our cat was called Alfie. She had been sick for a couple of weeks by this stage. It ends happier than it starts. But I was working in Dublin at the time, and I came home for Christmas, obviously, and my dad collected me at the train station, and we were walking to a restaurant to get dinner, and he said to me, I have to tell you something. Alfie's not going to make it to Christmas. And I was like, it's Christmas Eve tomorrow. And he was like, yeah, she's not going to make it. That they had an appointment booked at the vet, I think 10 o'clock Christmas Eve morning. So I was like, right, okay, that has ruined Christmas. So we went home. We gave her a really good last night. She had like her favorite blanket. She had her favorite food, what she could eat of it. And that kind of stuff. So my mom went down on her own Christmas Eve morning, because the last time that we had a cat put to sleep, she went down by herself as well, because she was like, I just want to have some time with her before she goes by myself. So we were like, yeah, that's fine. So we said our goodbyes, and we did a little ritual when we had a feeling that it was going to happen. And my mom was gone for a really long time. So we were like, this is starting to look a bit sus, because last time she was home within like 45 minutes, an hour or so. So we were like, okay, this is starting to look suspicious. So she came home at I think she went down at 9:30, and she came home at maybe 12 or 12:30. And I was going to the front door to open it up. And the first thing that I could see was Alfie was sitting upright on her cushion in the cat carrier. And I was like, that is a really, really weird position for them to have done it in. And then like her head moved, and I was like, oh my God, she's moving. Oh my God, have I seen like an apparition or something? And then it took like a little while to actually figure out what had happened, that it had, like, she had some kind of second wind when she went down, that they were like, actually, I think we can leave her with you for a couple of days more. We're going to give her some steroids or so, and she can have Christmas together with you, and either book in when you think it's time or let her go by herself. So she came home Christmas Eve, and honestly, if she wanted turkey the next day, she got it. Whatever she wanted, like, it was hers. And then I think the 28th, she took a really bad turn, and my mom was like, we'll bring her down in the morning, because this was at like 7:30 in the evening we made this decision. So she was like, yeah, we'll bring her down tomorrow morning, but she went in her sleep overnight.
No.
So it was kind of the best Christmas I've ever had, in the sense that, like, I have never seen a cat come back from the dead in such a fashion.
That's both a very happy and a very sad story.
Yeah, I feel like we should have a happier story.
Yeah. As you were talking, this cat tried to grab the attention. I was like, no, why are you talking about a different cat?
Why is that cat? They do like to be the only one that you care about.
He is the only one his dad cares about. I have tried many times to get Tom to get a second cat.
No.
Boy.
Yeah, he needs a little brother.
He needs a friend.
Yeah, see?
He's fine.
You're his dad. It's different.
And they come and say hi. I would very much like to say hello to the cat.
Jerry. He doesn't like being picked up, so you'll get to see him scratch me. Hello.
Oh. Hello. Hello.
He's being super needy. He's cute. He's so cute.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other game ideas? I was going to plan things.
Maybe we could have done 2 truths, 1 lie. In the book, in the sense of like books that 2 you have read, 1 you haven't.
Okay.
For booktubers, and supposedly we're supposed to have read, but that's not always true, because I haven't read a lot recently.
I think we should do that one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Then birthday girl, you shall go first.
Oh, shut up. Okay. I don't know. Let's go with. Is it 1 book we have read, or
1 you haven't and 2 you have?
2 I have read and 1 I haven't. Okay, and you've got to guess the one that I haven't read then. So let's go with. Oh, my mind is going completely and utterly blank. I can do it the other way around plenty of times. My mind go blank of books I haven't read, have read even.
I was going to say, does that mean that you can't think of the books that you have read?
I can't think of books I have read. I'm going to go with Fingersmith by Sarah Waters, Affinity by Sarah Waters, and Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters.
Okay.
I like the choice of going for a theme.
Like, oh, yeah. I know you read her for your degree, so like tick, I know that one. And then you said the other 2, and I was like, oh.
All the books I am doing for my dissertation.
What was the
so
middle
it's going
one?
to be revealing.
I can't remember what order I said them in now. Fingersmith, Affinity, and Tipping the Velvet.
Okay.
Okay, I think I got it. I think.
I'll guess Affinity, because that's the only one I haven't heard of.
Yeah, I think that you've read Fingersmith and Tipping the Velvet, but you haven't read Affinity?
Yeah, I'm guessing that as well.
See, I feel like it would be either Fingersmith or Tipping, because those are the ones that I've heard of. And that it would be more surprising for you to not have read one of those 2. So I'm going to go Tipping.
Charlotte is correct.
So good.
I've read half of it, but I have not finished it.
Yeah.
That's the only one I'm going to get.
I think Aoife should go next since it was her suggestion, and it gives everyone a little time.
Okay. The Book Thief, Beartown, The 2 Lives of Lydia Bird.
I think the second one,
Mm-hmm.
and because I know you've read The Book Thief.
Mm-hmm.
You said it was one of your favourites when I asked for favourite books.
I'm going to say the last one.
I'm thinking Beartown as well.
I think that's a book you want to read but haven't yet. Okay. Or I think that's still my idea and you're currently reading it but haven't finished it.
I'll go with Beartown too, just because, like, not. I was gonna say peer pressure, and then I was like, wait, no, but like just follow the crowd.
Excuse me. The people who said Beartown are correct.
Oh, I suck at this game.
I was supposed to read it with Pages with Paige. I was supposed to read that as like a buddy read in July of this year. And I started it on like a Thursday, brought it with me to work on Friday, left it in the office on Friday, and then had to take a week off work for the following week because I cracked my ribs. So I didn't get to finish it because I left it in the office.
Right.
I still haven't finished it in those, how many months are we since July?
I do.
And I finished Lydia Bird literally an hour ago. Like about the time before I got on the call.
So fresh in the mind.
Yeah. I'm going to go for Charlotte next because she's clockwise next to me.
Want to do it through some sort of theme, but I'm not sure what. Because that's easy to think of. I do very, very helpfully. I have my books all there, but it's weirdly not helping. I am. The only one I can think that is on a theme is similarly to Aoife doing Marcus Zuzak books and starting with The Book Thief, then Bridge of Clay, and then I Am the Messenger.
I know you've read The Book Thief because you recently reread it with Shaw.
Because I'm uncreative and I can't think of anything else. Don't help it.
I think you DNF'd Bridge of Clay.
I was going to say Bridge of Clay.
Yeah, I was also going to say Bridge of Clay.
Me too, because that's the one I haven't heard of.
Wow, didn't it? Is that his most recent book?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, you were all correct. I was so surprised because I'd done I Am the Messenger and I thought, yeah, decent. Not like it's not The Book Thief, but it's decent. And then I picked up Bridge of Clay and got so excited, and then I got about 50 pages into it and was like, no, this is not good. This is not the man who read the Book Thief.
I've never bothered picking it up. I think I got it out of the library once, and I think everybody I know who started it DNF'd it.
But I had heard good things, but no. And this is why I always struggle with, you know how people they have like one author or authors that they really latch onto and they love. I don't think I'm really like that with many of them, because usually it's like a concept that I really, really like The Book Thief. And then every time I read something else from them, I'm always disappointed and I feel bad about it.
That's why.
Burton fan.
Sorry?
Are you a Jessie Burton fan?
I liked The Confession. I wasn't as keen on The Miniaturist. And I've not read The Muse.
Okay.
See, they're both like authors that I've read one book that I've loved, and I just know that I don't want to read their other books because it won't live up to, like, I love The Book Thief. It's like one of my favorite books of all time. That's why I don't want to read anything else, because I know it just won't reach that. And I kind of feel the same with The Miniaturist, because I think I tried to read The Muse and was just a bit like, it's not The Miniaturist, so I'm not going to like it as much.
Yeah.
I'd love to get my boyfriend to read The Book Thief, but he is German, so I feel like it would be kind of very touchy subject if I get him to read it.
It would be interesting to see his thoughts.
It would be very interesting to see how he feels about it from a German person's perspective. I think maybe I should start him with I don't know if I should start him actually with the adaptation, because that is one of my favorite book adaptations ever. I feel like it does it so well. Shannon's about to say something.
Weirdly, the first time I saw it, I hated it. I was
Really?
like, this is awful, no. And because I went with my mum to the cinema and she didn't know the story and she loved it. And then last year, I think it was on at Christmas time, and we watched it and I was like, this is really good. I'm so confused.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
think I like it now. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, I think
Jeff
maybe.
Bezos is so good.
Yeah.
Done.
I just want to quickly say, there are some people watching. If you want to join in with the game and give your answers in the comments, please do. I'm really disappointed that you're not watching on your phone, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
You might be here live, but I think this video officially ends me calling you teen things as well. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I can go next because I think I thought of mine.
Yeah.
A Christmas Carol. I'm also going themed with classics. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and what's the last one? Anna Karenina.
I'm gonna go Anna Karenina because it's the only one of the two that I haven't read.
I think that's
I can't count.
Because I think throwing the big chunky Russian classic in is meant to be a curveball, and I think you have read that one and maybe haven't read. No, did you say recently you hadn't read A Christmas Carol and you wanted to read it this year because of that? I'm going with that one.
See, I was thinking that because it's seasonal, so it would be like forefront of your mind as a book that you want to read now, but maybe haven't in the past.
I think it's also one of those books where like everyone knows the story. So when you think about it, say to read it, you're like, well, like I already know what it's about.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of, I'll go with that one too.
Can I change my answer? I want to go with that one too.
I don't want to be the only one. You shouldn't have changed your mind because it's anyway. Yeah, I've read like, I don't know how long it is, but it's long, and I read 200 pages of it in my like second year of uni, and I just couldn't. With the overly descriptive writing, I was like, this is too much. And there was like 3 whole pages about like a farm. I was like, I don't care. I don't care.
Question: what's everybody's favorite Christmas Carol adaptation, and why isn't it the Muppets?
It is the Muppets.
Excellent.
I am so loyal to the Muppets. I've not seen the others, and I really want to, but I'm like,
because the Muppets is high class entertainment.
It's an almost annual argument between me and my dad about whether it's the Muppets Christmas Carol or Scrooged.
No, it's the Muppets. Scrooged, the one with
It was like Barbie Christmas Carol erasure though, because that was like my shit when I was a child.
So, for me, I watch the Muppets one every single year on Christmas Eve, and because me and my partner were in Dublin until like the day before Christmas Eve, so I was like, can we just watch it anyway? Can we just watch it together? And he'd never seen it before, but I was there like singing along to all the songs and having a great time. And he's like, I'm going to need you to leave the room if you don't stop doing this. But then I asked him like at the end, what did he think of it? And he was like, it's so pure and wholesome. I loved it. I was like, I know, right?
See, I think I would have to say the Doctor Who episode.
I've never watched Doctor Who.
Oh, I was a massive like Doctor Who fan.
I watched it religiously until I went to uni and then haven't been able to watch it since.
I was the same at Home and Away. I stopped
watching away there, Eva.
Sorry?
I said, you're giving your age away there.
They really am.
No, I've seen maybe like 5 episodes of Doctor Who in my life, but yeah, I know that David Tennant is my doctor, and I don't know how that works. But
Good
he's
point.
just the one that I'm like, no, nobody else, just David Tennant.
Oh,
I feel like, no, if I think of Doctor Who, I would think of David Tennant, so I can see why you would do that.
mm.
Yeah, David Tennant was my doctor because that's when I went into it, but also like my dad, because I grew up in Scotland, so my dad, where he worked, he like vaguely knew David Tennant. He was like a friend of a friend, so that was like my claim to fame when I was like 5. So I was like really, so I was like, oh, Dad knows him.
That's so cool.
Oh, it's my turn. Shit, I should have been more
You're
prepared.
like,
You've had the longest to prepare.
What?
You've had the longest to prepare. There's no
I
excuse.
know. This is always the way. This is always what I was like with like everything, exams as well, like last minute. Okay. I'm looking at my bookshelf. Okay. I'm gonna go with like big books. So The Goldfinch, Prior of the Orange Tree, and A Little Life.
I think you haven't read A Little Life.
I'm going to go with A Little Life.
The one that screamed out to me.
Because I know you have read Priory. Because you talked about it recently in the video, how you don't usually read long books, and you read that one, but it should have been shorter. I think you read The Goldfinch to watch the film. Or you read it a long time ago when I also read it. I have a very vague memory. So I don't think you read A Little Life.
I also think, A Little Life just terrifies people. So it's the one that it's long and it just.
I've had it for so long, and like everyone talked about it, and everyone has reading vlogs of them like crying, and I get people wanting to be like emotionally impacted by a book, but also I just don't know when to read it, because if I'm really sad, I don't want to read it and make feel worse, and then if I'm happy, I don't want something that's going to make me feel bad. There's literally no window of time where I can be like, oh, I'll read it then. So I
It's pretty hard going.
I downloaded it on Kindle when it was 99p because I knew I would like very rarely be in the mood for it and didn't want to buy the whole thing.
Fair.
But I don't think I will ever read it.
I think I got gifted it because I don't think it would be something that I'd usually buy for myself. Like obviously it got lots of hype, but it's not my type of genre, I don't think. I mean, I tend not to go for like big books anyway.
People who have been reading it this year, why are you making yourself feel worse?
I know, I bought it this year and then I was a bit like, I'm not going to read this for ages. Like, why did I buy it?
I think there's maybe something to do with 2020 and the idea of let's get like the big books out of the way, because it is so big, you'll feel like you've achieved something, and then you hear other people talking about how sad it is, and you're like, I don't want to do that to myself. Not this year, no. No, I really enjoyed a little. I say enjoyed. I really like Little Life. But it is like really, really tough to get through. So yeah, I get that.
I think I'm waiting to read all of my massive books until I've finished my master's degree, because the thought of doing that now while I've got like uni reading to do is just like, no, it's going to take me like 3 months to read that book. So, sorry?
I kind of want to do another round, like reversed, like 2 books you have and from one you have.
Okay.
I think that could be fun.
Okay.
I think of more books now.
I have to look at books now.
Okay.
I'm not with my books, so I'm like, I don't know. Or we could do 2 books that are on our TBR and one that isn't, because that's harder.
Ooh.
Good. Need to look at the TBR now.
Like one that you don't want to read.
I know I have books at my house that are sat outside the front doorstep because they got delivered after I left this morning. So I might end up saying that's not on my TBR, and
I definitely, my present to you sure came late because I got an email at like 5 p.m. being like, it's out for delivery. And I was like, lied to me. It was like in the morning.
To do that. Yeah, I was sat at home and I saw the postman and I got really excited because I know there are 7 parcels out for me at the minute. I was like, at least one of them must arrive on my actual birthday. No, none of them.
None.
One of them. No.
Rude.
It was so sad. And then I knew Rosie had sent something because she texted me yesterday that it was being delivered today. And then I had a bunch of hamster stuff being delivered today. So I'm assuming it came along with them. And they got delivered at like 4. There's definitely there's gonna be stuff outside my door when I get back tomorrow, which is equally exciting and terrifying.
It like extends the birthday, which I always think is nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It'll give you like a birthday weekend. And that's what you deserve this year.
Yeah, I'm still 25 until the last present arrives.
That's the one.
So 25 until you start writing
Doesn't it say
until you start writing 26, or if somebody asks, you start automatically saying 26. Until then, you're still 25. It's fine.
Say 25.
Okay, I think
does it say 25 in your bio still?
Probably. I never change it. No, my age was in my bio. My Goodreads profile said I was 18 until this year.
Oh God. What?
I just never found bios. I'm not interesting enough to think I need to add that to my bio. It does. Oh, and it's a Taylor Swift song lyric. Does she mention 26 at all?
I don't know any songs that mention 26 even. No. Not just Taylor Swift, but like in general.
Now it just says she, her. Until I can think of something that says 26. I'm going to Google songs that reference 26.
I'm looking at my books and I'm trying to think what is one that isn't on my TBR at all.
But like, is it not on my TBR because I haven't bought it yet, or like I specifically don't want to read it for like a specific reason?
I think it can either be one we haven't. No, I think it's got to be one that we've got no interest in reading.
Okay.
Which is not like literally.
But I like all books. I like to try everything, even if I know I'm not gonna like it.
I feel like on BookTube recently, everyone's doing like the anti-TBR, like popular books I don't want, and I'm like, I can't think of any. I was like, oh, I should do this.
For that, I struggled to think. I was like, but there are no books I don't want to read.
I have some authors that I've boycotted.
Yeah, I also have that though.
Yeah, but if I found their books in a second-hand shop, I would be tempted.
Like, I have a conundrum at the moment in that I'm putting together a TBR game for 21. And I have a book by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie on my TBR on the shelf. And I'm like, I don't know whether or not I should include that. Because I don't support the decisions that she has made. And I don't support the comments that she has made. But also, I already have the book. I'm not going out specifically purchase it, and I actually didn't buy it either. I was sent it, so I don't.
And then there's also the argument about what she herself does for her minorities.
Yeah,
she's a part.
There is that part of it too.
I do believe in that. Obviously, you could read it and not mention it on your channel because then obviously it's not promoting it. If that makes sense. But then also maybe mentioning that like you are aware of like why she's.
Yeah, I think I might do that if it comes up. Okay, I think I have my books. I think I'm ready.
Would you like to start?
I think so. Okay. I'm gonna go with the really hyped books of 2020. The Vanishing Half, Priory, My Dark Vanessa.
Priory.
Without even a second of thought.
Straight in.
Oh. Now, you're in a group chat with me and Rosie, and we've had a long discussion, and I'm now wondering whether you've said in that, actually, I never want to read that, or she convinced you to read that. But I've gone for Priory because it's huge. And what was the first one?
The Vanishing Half.
I think you are interested in that one. I'm going to stick with Priory.
Okay.
Which is coincidentally the book that kind of made me and Shannon friends.
Oh.
Oh,
She sent me an audio.
I did. Yeah.
How long was that? Many an hour. How long was that?
It's like 25 hours. Is it like 25? Yeah.
But the book itself is like 800 pages or so, isn't it?
And because I had like loads of free credits, so I got a credit for it for when I eventually maybe want to read it. And this has been how long ago was that?
I DNF the audiobook.
Which worries me.
Sorry, Anna. But I've also learned that I can't listen to audiobooks of fantasy.
See, it's weird. I really enjoy, I've been finding it really hard this year. I love fantasy. I would say it's like one of my favorite genres. But this year I found it so hard to read fantasy books, but listening to them on audiobook, fine. So weird.
I just can't remember the world in my head if I'm listening.
Yeah, that makes sense. That you have to have it like where you can go back to it easily to get the map. Yeah, that makes sense.
Read it a bit slower. Because if it's just spoken to me, I'm like, cool story, bro.
Need more dragons. Anybody else want to wager a guess?
The reason why I'm stuck is because I recognise The Vanishing Half, but I can't picture like a cover or anything in my head. So I recognise the name, but I can't.
Do I run and grab?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So helpful.
Her top is so sparkly.
I know. So that's so sparkly.
This is where I keep my archive. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay. Thank you. That has helped.
You should recognise it very often soon, Shannon.
That's exciting. I believe The Vanishing Half is historical fiction. I feel like if you'd like The Book Thief, then you might like Vanishing Half, possibly. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. This is hard.
I think I'm leaning towards My Dark Vanessa just because there's so much hot takes on the internet about that book. And I feel like, but then like books like that.
I'm practicing my poker face at the moment, and it's not going very well. I'm just like, okay, how does that make you feel?
I don't know, because like when books are really controversial, either I like depends what it's controversial about. Either I'm like, oh, I really want to read that and like see what my opinion is, or I'm like, oh, I don't want to touch that like at all. So like, it depends. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with The Dark Vanessa as well.
Okay,
but I don't know why.
Yeah.
Okay. Charlotte,
I feel like Priory is such a divergence from the other two that it's either a real red herring and you do want to read it, but because it feels so different to the others. So I'm going to go Vanishing Half.
Okay. Well, I actually have two of them as physical copies on my bookshelf over there. I'm going to go out and get them. Right now. Oh, I'm not going to fall off the chair. Okay. So next week, me and BookTube's second favorite Aoife from Words with Covert, are going to buddy read The Vanishing Half. And even though in the group chat I said I did not want to read it, I bought a copy of My Dark Vanessa while I was on holiday this year. So those who said Priory are completely correct, because it is a well-established fact on my channel that I am not a big fantasy fan. So I have a feeling that it's not going to be that kind of book for me just because of the genre.
My instinct was so wrong.
Has anyone in the chat said any guesses, Cher?
No, they haven't. They're not answering.
Can you see the comments if you click if you're on private chat, you can click on comments, and I think you can see other people's.
Yeah, I can only see we've got one from Leanne and one from Tom.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Oh, maybe do you want to join in, Tom?
I've just sent it in the chat.
I'm gonna put my books back.
Fair enough. Are you going to join in from now on?
I don't know.
I bullied him into watching it on his phone, even though he's literally sat like 3 meters away from me.
You gotta get those views.
Yeah, like, yeah.
The engagement. It pays my rent.
Woo.
Okay. Is anybody else ready?
I'm trying to think. My brain is not working.
I am finding this one really hard. And the reason I said I don't want it booked physically on my TBR is I think all of you are taking part in my New Year video. So you all have photos of my TBR.
No, that doesn't mean I remember what books were on it.
Okay, that's fine.
And I've sent mine to you as well, so I'm like, you know what's on mine. That's why I'm trying to think.
Yeah, but that was in like September.
Okay.
And
It doesn't feel that long ago.
terrible habit of going on book buying bans and then buying a million books regardless.
Oh, same. I did that in November, even though I shouldn't have.
I'm going to go with things that are on my wish list.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who've looked through it recently, sorry. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I've changed my mind. I'm going to go with some classics.
Damn, I was gonna do that.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with Pride and Prejudice, The Tenant of Wildflower Hall, and Far from the Wedding.
I'm going to go for the second one because it's the one I've never heard of.
I'm going to go with Pride and Prejudice because I feel like you are a Bronte fan, possibly. I feel like you mentioned Far from the Madding Crowd, or you might be interested in the story, whereas Pride and Prejudice, people know it quite well already, and you maybe don't get on with Jane Austen. So yeah.
See, I remember you saying you didn't love Emma, which to me is a travesty. But I want to say Far from the Madding Crowd because I don't like it, and I love the other two. But yeah, I feel like maybe it would be Pride and Prejudice because you didn't like Emma.
I DNF'd Emma.
I had to get through it.
It's like the first love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
You know why I DNF'd it? And it sounds really stupid, but the main reason that I DNF'd it is because I couldn't get Clueless out of my head while I was watching it.
I see, that's why I loved it.
Yeah.
I was reading it and I was like, oh my god, this is Clueless.
Seriously. Oh my
That's
god,
great.
I'm reading Clueless right now, but I cannot. I was trying to picture the characters as they were in Clueless.
Would
But
you like a second?
I'd love to.
well
It
done,
was
Tom.
a bit weird watching the new adaptation after reading it and picturing Clueless because Mr. Eaton, no, what's his name?
Elton.
Yeah, that's the one. Was so different to what I expected him to be.
Mhm.
But then he's hilarious in the film, and the film is just so good. So
I haven't seen the film actually, and I also haven't seen the film of Little Women yet.
Oh,
me neither. I need to see that.
genuinely one of my favourite films ever.
Yeah.
I have got a copy of it because when Ireland went into lockdown, my dad's personal trainer sent over like a Google Drive list of like 50 films and 20 TV series. He was like, "This will help you with the boredom for lockdown." And he's like, my dad was like, "I've watched the most of the films and I've watched some of the television shows and they're all awful." So I was like, "Great." But it was stuff like you wouldn't be into. So like Deadpool, Little Women, Arrival, which I thought he would really like but did not. and like the Toy Stories, which is like he didn't like Toy Story at all. Charlotte is looking absolutely aghast. That's that news.
Yeah.
Can I also tell you that tall man has never seen Toy Story? Well, okay.
How do you date someone who's never seen Toy Story? Hang on,
He has seen Toy Story, but only in the German dub version. So when I started, like, we did this guessing game of like, who am I as like actors or famous people or whatever. And we do it in German to like improve my language skills. And I kept on saying like, I was one of the people in Toy Story. I was the main character in Toy Story. I was in this other film. I was in Toy Story. And he was like, that doesn't help me. I've never seen the English versions of Toy Story. I was like, oh man. It was Tom Hanks, by the way, that I was trying to get him to guess. But he was like, I've never seen Toy Story. And I only have seen the German version of the first one once when I was like 12. So I don't really remember it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were there with the army or something.
No. Very different story. I came over like on my own 3.5 years ago by now.
Ah, okay.
Open to answering any questions about moving to Germany and living in Germany and just Germany in general that I know of.
I've only been once, and it was for New Year, and it was freezing.
Yeah, that is the thing. It is freezing cold here. Like we had -3 during the night a couple of days ago. It was so cold.
The entire time we were there, I don't remember being warm once. It was ridiculous. And I was like coats and tights and jeans and everything. And I was still cold.
Our best friend,
It's the coldest place she's ever been, and she's been to like all the Nordic countries.
Yeah, it's so weird.
where were
But it
you?
was lovely. I went to Berlin for New Year with my mum, and it was lovely. But I would love to go in the summer, I think, because I hate being cold.
Really nice.
And
Summer
B,
here is lovely.
yeah.
I remember I was here for New Year's last year, and we were watching it on TV. And they went to the TV tower in Berlin where they were doing the countdown. Like you could see it in the background. But the guy kept talking about how we're going to welcome in 2020 and we're all going to have a great year and it's going to be a great new start. And like we could see them counting down like 5, 4, 3, and we just kept shouting like,
It's not talking.
and obviously he got his producer in his head saying like, it's 2020 now. So he was like, well, we're all going to have a really great 2020 and we're going to start the countdown really soon. Oh, sorry, the countdown is over. It's 2020 now.
Oh, no. Oh.
And that's the whole year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should have known.
Oh, no, yeah, we were like by the Brandenburg Gate. It was really nice. And we got like really close because we thought tourists, we were told like the day before where we had to go and tickets and whatever. And we got a train, we got in and we got like really close to the front. And we were like, how did this happen? And obviously they've got stalls down the side where you can get like drink and this and that and the other.
Yeah.
But people do get like really drunk beforehand, which is kind of what we do here too. But because my mum's Scottish, New Year's Day is like the big day. So yeah, it was so good. It was so much fun.
In the Rubik's Cube 5 times while we've been on this.
What?
In the last 20 minutes.
Do you want to go yourself?
No.
Tom,
You should get Got Talent with that.
how can you be shy? Tom wanted me to tell you he's sat doing the Rubik's Cube and has completed it 5 times in the last 20 minutes.
He should go on Britain's Got Talent with that.
I have a question. Is he one of these people that knows the way to do it? Because apparently, like, once you've done it once, you know there's a specific how many times you have to turn it.
Okay.
Let's do it last 2 weeks.
Then that's cheating. Well, not cheating, but like if you know the way to do it, then it's easy to do it 5 times in an hour.
Good.
He's going to show you. Can I mix it up?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go.
Yeah, you do it
Magic.
because then it's completely random then.
How long will it take you?
Between like 2 to 4 minutes.
Okay, so you're going to stand behind
It's like have his hands in the background.
I'm going to time it.
It's not mixed up enough for my liking. You know, there's like 3 whites there, so
No.
place.
Okay. Yeah, you can do it at my shoulder. I mean, they've seen your face before.
I know, but I'm shy.
Oh.
Yeah, hold on.
Who's next?
Oh, I still haven't. I've completely forgot about
I
this.
haven't answered it, have I? So Shannon thinks Pride and Prejudice. Eva thinks The Tenant of Wildfell Hall.
Yeah.
And the third one was Mad and Crowd, which Charlotte's voted for purely on the fact she doesn't like it.
Pride and Prejudice, simply because it's another one of my things that I feel like I have to read and I just haven't.
Pride and Prejudice, I am currently reading for a video where I read my booktuber's favourite books. So, I have got a beautiful copy with bumblebees on of the Far From a Madding Crowd. And the one I have no interest in, and this is a really horrible reason because it's not Anne Bronte's fault, it's Emily Bronte's fault. I just have no interest in ever reading any more Brontes.
Oh, but Jane Eyre is so lovely.
I know, and it's been on my TBR since I was 11, and my nana gave me a copy, but I just...
Audiobook.
As a West Yorkshire girl. No.
Oh, I am spending Boxing Day in Huddersfield, Charlotte. So I feel like I'm
Oh.
See, I hated Wuthering Heights, but I still I want to try Anne Bronte because I feel like she's the one that a lot of people don't read but end up really loving anyway.
Yeah, she's the one I get told is the best.
Everybody kind of forgets about.
I feel like both Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights are so like dramatic and turbulent that Anne is kind of a breath of fresh air because it's very grounded and like it feels like something that might actually happen.
I think my hatred of Wuthering Heights comes from, I read it when I was like 16 or 17. I read it for my A-level literature. And I think because so many people had lauded it as a love story at that point.
They're so close.
Oh no, I'm just watching in the background. So close. Oh, wow. Okay.
That is slanted. Yeah, that's right.
He's so proud of himself.
But yeah, I think all these people that absolutely love Wuthering Heights, and then I read it and I was like, the people are awful, which is fine because I can read a book where the characters aren't great. That's fine. But I didn't like the writing. I was just like, I don't understand.
I mean, this comment from Kayla sums everything up. That is my favourite insult ever. I use that so often.
I love that.
Maybe I can be convinced to one day read more Brontes other than Emily, but and this is why I say it's like a really awful judgmental thing because I'm like, she's not her sister. I have to judge them on their own merit, but I feel like they come as a package deal.
Completely forget about her last name. Pretend
I
it's like Smith. She's just Emily Smith.
I'm going to put a sticker on it saying Anna Mackenzie. Then I have to read it.
I'm still trying to think of books. Like I can't even remember.
Okay, I'm like leaning around so I can just pick the first two of my TBR I see. Oh wait, but I have to think of one that. Oh bloody hell! Wait,
One that you just have no interest whatsoever in reading. I think you could have a very interesting comic book selection.
Oh,
like a graphic novel.
Okay.
And having to guess a graphic novel Anna doesn't want to read.
that's hard. I'm trying to think. Oh. See, my graphic novel knowledge is like not that great.
Yeah, mine neither. I haven't read a single one.
Do you just buy every single one you want then?
Yeah, like I've read like I think I've probably read quite a few in comparison to like the average reader, but one of my best friends is like very into comics and graphic novels because she is an artist and an illustrator and she does her own comics. So like my knowledge in comparison to hers is like tiny. So I feel like I can't speak with any authority like on graphic novels. I'm like looking at them now. I'm thinking like, is there any ones that I don't want?
That started at half past.
This is the hard one because you have to think, what book don't I want to read?
Have you had a go yet, Aoife? On this?
Sorry?
Have you had a go at this round?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot who. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I forgot who said no. It's been so long. Oh, Kayla has a question. I want to read some fantasy. I'm intimidated by fantasy, but what would you recommend?
Oh, hi. No.
If anyone has any questions that's watching, because there's a few of you now, ask a question. We'll answer questions. It gives us time to think about our.
Yes, let's do an AMA.
Yeah.
I'd say The Cruel Prince for fantasy if you're intimidated.
Can I recommend a fantasy book actually?
I'm gonna have a look at.
Queen of Coin and Whispers, Hannah Corcoran. It is fantastic. It came out April of this year, I think. It's really, 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 really good. It's about a queen who takes over a country and falls in love with her spy master.
Which one's that? Sorry.
Queen of Coin and Whispers by Helen Corcoran.
Sounds cool.
So good.
I can't even remember the last time I read fantasy.
I really love fantasy. But I don't think I've read any fantasy for a really long time, and I don't even think when I was younger and I was reading fantasy, I was reading I wasn't reading Sanderson or Robin Hobb or anybody. I was reading more like historical fantasy.
Yeah, I think the closest I've come is The Binding by Bridget Collins, and that's even like it's the lightest of light fantasy.
Yeah.
Do you prefer high fantasy or low fantasy? Like fantasy that is completely set in its own world, or stuff that's in our world but has like fantastical elements to it?
I would say if you're intimidated, that urban fantasy is a good way to start. Yeah.
For that, I would recommend.
I would disagree because I hate urban fantasy. Like with a passion, I hate urban fantasy.
That's weird.
Different strokes.
No.
For urban fantasy, I would kind of recommend a book that's going back like. Oh, I read this when I was like 15, so that is quite a long time ago. But The New Policeman by Kate Thompson is kind of set in our world and kind of set in an Irish mythological world called Hir na Nog. But the parts that are set in our world are very contemporary. The parts that are set in Hir na Nog are very fantasy based. So it is a good way to start into it because it has both elements of real world and fantastical world. That I think it would be a very good kind of marriage of the two. So if you're looking to start into it, that might be your way to go, in that you're very much easing your way in, having some contemporary, some our world, and some fantasy world stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I've just had a look at my Goodreads list, and I would recommend I would recommend like fairy tale things. Yeah, Jeanette Winterson, who kind of writes like historical fairy tales and retellings. I'm just having a little look.
Savage Lie or Tangleweed and Brine are both by Deirdre Sullivan, and they are both fairy tale retellings. Tangleweed and Brine has like a couple of kind of like an anthology, like a short story collection all by her. And Savage, Her Reply is a retelling of The Children of Lear, which is another Irish mythological story. And The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill is a retelling of The Little Mermaid. Then you have like A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, as is Of Curses and Kisses by, is it Sandia Menon that wrote that? Yeah, by Sandia Menon. And that's kind of more a contemporary feel as well. So that does kind of, like The New Policeman, it kind of marries both.
I would also recommend, this will be really good for you, Kayla, to read with your kids, the Pinch of Magic series by Michelle Harrison. So I think YA and children's fantasy is always a very good place to start. And I think Grace would really like A Pinch of Magic. Actually, both of your girls would enjoy that one because it's about sisters. So definitely get A Pinch of Magic. And the second book is A Sprinkle of Sorcery by Michelle Harrison. Get those for them for Christmas because they'll love them. And we've talked very briefly already about The Miniatures by Jessie Burton. I really like them. A lot of people tend to recommend Neil Gaiman for starter fantasy. I'm not a huge fan, but it might be a go. Again, middle grade fantasy, The Trials of Morrigan Crow, fantastic. Read them with your daughters. They will devour it. But my all-time favourite fantasy book is The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King.
Oh.
It is a fantasy book that he wrote because his children really wanted to read his books, and he was like, I don't think so.
Like the opposite of a good idea.
And it's like a really traditional fairy tale-esque fantasy.
Okay.
And it's got a princess locked in a tower. I think it's been, hang on, I read this in, let me have a look. I read this in 2012. So it was more than a third of my life ago. No, nearly a third of my life ago. It's about 600 pages, but the chapters are like 1 or 2 pages long. So you just can't stop reading it because you think, oh, just one more page, just one more page, one more page. Some pages are like 2 sentences. I love it. But yeah, Kayla, that's one. If Grace has it on her shelf, then read them to your girls because the bond between the sisters in A Pinch of Magic is absolutely stunning. And having a little sister myself, they mean a lot to me. Tom's asked a couple of questions. They're sci-fi related, so he's read the Expanse series. Only read the first, didn't get into the second properly. Anybody else read any sci-fi to recommend?
I have not. Does 11/22/63 by Stephen King count as sci-fi?
It does. I have that at my desk.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, I watched your vlog. That has been on my shelf for years. I have got 40 Stephen King books, and I have read 2.
My mother-in-law loves Stephen King.
Yeah.
But all of her Stephen King books are in German. So I need to up my game before I can read them. Because when I read in German, I make notes in the margins, which I hate doing in English language books. But I do it in German books so that I can remember what this word means or how to use this in a sentence.
It's a really good way to learn.
Sorry?
I said it's a really good way to learn a language.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Me and Anna have known each other for is it 8 years?
It's a long time.
I've known Anna for years. I don't know if you were watching me when one of my very earliest book hauls, my uncle dropped 200 books.
Whoa!
And that is why I have 40 Stephen King books.
Oh my god!
Because you haven't read a single one.
Sorry?
You haven't read a single one.
I think I read 3.
Which ones?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know which. He really liked thrillers, which I really don't like. A lot of the books were in an awful condition. Shannon would have thrown up if she touched one of them. They were
no, I'm not having that.
I was just not big into horror, right? Because you tried to read horror books around Halloween and it just didn't go very well.
Yeah, all of my TBRs since October have failed miserably, but I did manage to read The Omen.
Okay,
that series is one that my uncle gave me. The Omen fell apart while I was reading it. He gave me a bunch of Stephen King books, and I can't remember which one, but I've definitely read one.
Okay.
And there's probably another one that he gave me that I've read at some point.
The only Stephen King I've read is The Shining, and I prefer the film. So
I've never read it or seen the film.
The film is
better.
scary.
I think the film is a lot better.
That
I know people like don't like book people like supposed to say
lather
that.
on so much.
Yeah,
That's
like
such a good point. He takes like 3 pages to say what could be said in 1.5.
And like my dad's a huge Stephen King fan, so I feel like I should have read more of those books, but I just haven't.
No, I've never read any Stephen King. I have seen The Shining, which I feel like half of the terror in that is just because of the music.
True.
Like if you took the music out of it, it is literally just Jack Nicholson looking a little bit drunk and like just staggering through a hallway just with an axe in his hand. And it doesn't look anywhere near as scary.
Yeah,
The bar bit is horrible.
So we can tell you music is a huge part of film. Anna's done a film review. She'll tell you music is a huge part.
it's actually a really cool.
He'll tell you it's a huge part.
There's a really cool video essay on like the music, not just in The Shining, but like it's this like old thing. I forgot what it's called now. I'll find it and I'll put it in our chat. But it's basically this very old thing that goes back to like monasteries, and it's like these 4 notes, and they use it in Star Wars and like
the Dies Irae.
Yeah, that's it. And they've used it in like Frozen, and it like signifies like death, and that's like why it like is so effective. What?
Can you put that in the chat?
Yeah, I will.
Because I didn't. You kept breaking up then.
Sorry, I'll put the word that I actually said.
Yeah.
It was like
is that?
I'll get the video. I'll just send the video essay that I watched on it. It was really interesting.
That would be helpful. There's quite a few people watching now, actually. So if anybody is watching and wants to put something in the question in the chat for us, go ahead, because we can definitely do that.
For sure.
Have we given up on the game?
We were waiting.
I don't think of any books.
Answer, Anna.
Oh, me! Oh, crap. Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting for you to pick what book.
Okay, so let's go Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, because that's a big booktube one. Let's go Love Frankie by Jackie Wilson. And let's go It by Stephen King, because we were just talking about him.
I'm gonna go with what was the first one you said?
Addie LaRue.
I'm gonna go with that one.
Me too.
Everybody,
I don't know if that Jacqueline Wilson one is just thrown in as a red herring.
No, she wants to read that.
I know, but it feels like it's such an underhyped book. Like, not a lot of people have spoken about it on BookTube.
Well, that's going to change because I'm going to buy it for my birthday.
Oh my god,
I love that so bad.
I love it.
I don't understand why people are hailing it as her first gay book, because I remember reading Kiss years ago, which is the book that like I read that when I was like 10, and that helped me come to terms with my sexuality. And everyone's like, it's the first book where she talks about being gay, and I'm like, no, it's not.
I think maybe it's like the first explicit one. I don't know, because I think everyone's putting more like stuff on it because like she recently like came in.
Also,
like even a secret, so it's kind of everyone's hyping it up, and I don't think she kind of meant it to be like interpreted in that way. But.
Yeah. Also, I recently listened to the audiobook of Dancing with Charleston, and there is 100% a gay character in it. But I feel like it was only released like last year or the year before. But I feel like she felt like, I can't put a gay character in a kid's book. I can't cross that bridge yet. But I feel like this is the first one, like Anna said, that it's been explicit and that it's definitely put in front of you.
I mean, Kiss was literally about her friend coming out because she was in love with him, and at the end he was like, "Sorry, I'm gay." Sorry, spoilers.
That time.
Maybe it's the first protagonist, because I feel like she's had books with two mums.
Yeah. Oh,
but rich.
yeah.
Everyone's like collective.
I forgot about Kiss, because the main thing that I think of when I think of Kiss is the teacher.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
So I was like, when did that happen? But it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you
I
remember
thought the one
the
about the teacher was
show?
different. Or she got several.
Because they were in a series, but there was like three of them, and one of them definitely was about one of the friends fancying the teacher or whatever. And then they made a TV show about it, and
Oh, the girls series.
yes,
that
that's what I'm thinking
Netflix?
of. Yeah.
I feel like she pushed the boat out a bit more with the girl series.
Mm.
I remember like that was the first time I felt grown up whilst reading. I was like, oh my god.
Oh.
The main actress in the girls series was in Sugar Rush and played a lesbian.
I love Sugar Rush. Andrew Garfield was in it.
That was like the first time I remember seeing girls can like girls. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, then I'm. What was the other one? Addie LaRue, Kiss, or not Kiss, the other one. Addie LaRue, Love Frankie, and
It, because we were talking about Stephen King.
I think you want to read it because I think it's really important to read as a film student, even though you've graduated now, and I'm so proud of you. But I think that's something
I think Addie LaRue.
Yeah, I don't think you
Me
want to
too.
read it right now, but I think you're like one day.
Bless you. I'm very nearly about to say that in German.
Yeah, my boyfriend's got a really bad cold, and now I'm like, oh no. Oh.
Okay,
Hopefully it's just the
so-
dust.
Should I reveal my answers? I just realized my like credit cards on my phone, and I was like, so I have Addie LaRue on my TBR,
Okay.
and Love Frankie arrived today. So it is the one that's currently I'm not interested in. Simply, well, one, because of its length, and also because like people have said it's strange and like it's very long, and also I saw both films, and I, as a film student and also just as like a horror fan, I just wasn't like into either of those films. Because like I went into them thinking they'd be terrifying because I hate clowns, and I just came out not being scared at all. I think because like I didn't like the characters and I just wasn't immersed in it. So I'd like the book kind of doesn't
See,
appeal to
I'm
me.
the opposite. Me and my dad went to see both of those together because my dad, like I said, he's like into horror and Stephen King, and I hated both of them because I'm terrible. I actually like the films, and I know that's a controversial opinion, but I was terrified because I think Bill Skarsgård is scary looking anywhere. As a child, he's awful.
I think you're in the minority because half of the audience wants him. Like there is a huge like Pennywise fandom, but like not in the way of like, oh, he's scary, like
In a like sexy way.
yeah. Well, because he's also in Assassination
For everyone, it really is.
Well, this is Bill Skarsgård, or is that just like Pennywise as an entity?
I think a bit of both. There was a really weird time on the internet where people were shipping Pennywise and the Babadook, and I was like, "What timeline are we in? This is very."
I'm so disturbed. Like what?
It doesn't help because one of my biggest fears is forced amputation.
Oh,
Like
no.
if it's medically necessary, that's fine. But when I watched American Horror Story Asylum and he was making angels by chopping their arms and legs off, no, my worst fear is waking up and someone has chopped my limbs off.
Such a specific.
Okay.
And then I watched Ratchet recently,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. But there is a scene where a guy gets high and chops his arms off, and it was horrific.
I don't do horror or like thrillers, so I'm just like here, like no.
Like, why would you watch these?
You're like sunshine and rainbows, please.
I think the scariest I go with my media is like Sweeney Todd, the musical, or like Game of Thrones, and that is the furthest I can do. And then it's like, no more.
I agree.
I'm so annoyed at myself because I went so the opposite. I discovered horror so early on in my life that I'm so desensitized to stuff. So I go into things like actively wanting to be scared by them, and they just don't faze me, and I find it so annoying.
I can do gore, I can do violence, but I can't do like jump scares, and that's why I can't do horror and because it just freaks me out.
No, I can't do gore, and I think as part of my degree we watched, is it Hostel? I think that's another one that has my worst fears in. I like horror when it's ghosts. I don't think there's enough good ghost horror films, and I think that's one of the reasons I really enjoy the Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting of Bly Manor shows, is that they're not massively scary. They have great storytelling and ghosts. Charlotte, did you do the two?
My TBR one. So funnily enough, I was going to put Addie LaRue, but I'll change it up a little bit because because mine's going to be not ones that I own. Because I don't.
Interested in.
That was going to be the one that I was interested in because it's one that would be a bit out of my normal. But I'd heard other people like saying what it was about, and I was like, actually, that could be something that works for me. Oddly, because it's not my normal thing at all. Okay, so what's on my list? Okay, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig.
Okay.
Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. And Kindred by Octavia E. Butler.
Oh, they're all books that I thought you would be interested in.
I'm going to go the second one.
Yeah, I'm going to go the second one purely because I read an early extract of that and I had no idea what was going on. There was like a giveaway like competition thing and you could read like an extract like being with a chance of winning, and I read it and I was like, honestly, I have no idea what's going, because it's not a sequel. I thought, oh, is this a sequel? And it's not, and so I'm just gonna lean towards that one because that's kind of like the one that I'm less sure of. But
see, when you said Lucy, I thought, yes, you want to read that because it's based on classics, isn't it? Oh, I made that up. And you're like the history geek of bookish.
I'll say that.
In the back of my mind, something is telling me you DNF'd Jonathan Strange. The part of me wants to say that. So you said Piranesi. I've forgotten the other two now already.
We got the Midnight Library.
Midnight. I think you want to read that because you can't not want to read a Matt Haig book.
Kindred.
I'm going to go with Kindred because I think it's a fantastic book, and personally, I think everyone should be interested in it. But I think the sci-fi time travel element of it puts you off. I don't think you like time travel, and I'm not sure why. Also, Tom wanted me to show you he's done this again.
Yay!
Part of me wants to say The Midnight Library, but again, I feel like who wouldn't want to read that because everyone's loving it and it does sound very lovely. I'm gonna stick with that.
Okay, so I don't own any of these yet, but I do want to read The Midnight Library, and I am actually, strangely for me, very interested in Kindred. But I don't really have any interest in Piranesi, despite the fact that Susanna Clarke's Jonathan Strange is set in York. So you'd think, York girl, I would want to read that. but I've got absolutely no interest in reading that. And I feel every single time I say that to somebody, they're like, you are a traitor to your university town. Sorry. It's 1,000 pages long, but it's got like magic. And I don't know. No. Maybe one day. But no, just because of that. And like you say, I'd read a little bit of the excerpt of it, and I was just like, this is a bit weird for me. I don't think I'm going to get on with this. I think it's all just writing style for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I heard loads of people talking about Kindred, and even though it is sci-fi and that's not time travel, that's not really my normal thing at all. But I think the historical element of that, and that kind of the emotional aspect of her having to deal with, I think especially they talked about the relationship between the main character and her boyfriend. And how they're both dealing with the time travel and the situation that they're in. That just sounded really interesting. Like that could be powerful and a bit emotional for me. Which, yeah, I'd like to see if I like it.
It's really horrifying, but it's really good. I just want to quickly point out the time. I know I said it would be like an hour and a half, but it's now been an hour and a half. Are people okay to stay a little bit longer?
I may have to leave as I do have to go get food.
That's fine. We started our dinner and it's going to take about half an hour, so I can stay till 9 if people want to.
Okay. Yeah. I may have to go and go get food.
That's absolutely fine, Aoife. That's why I thought I'd just have a little interlude of
But thank you so much for having me. It was so lovely to talk to everybody.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
I will continue to watch it on my phone while I go make food.
Have a lovely meal. If you want to ask me any questions,
I'm going to ask as many questions as I can think of.
Okie dokie.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Okay, so we have a maximum of another half hour, so I think we should just hang out for a bit. But that's just me.
There were two things, quickly. One, I wanted to ask if we can keep our group chat, because I'm not part of a group chat and I feel really sad about it.
Yeah, I think we should. And I think we should invite Sylvie and people to it as well.
Yeah, just be like, does anyone want to be part?
I made the world's saddest video in November because it was my 6-year anniversary on BookTube, and I made this really slave video being my channel is so small but I'm grateful. And then I was thinking back on it and I was like, I don't want to be bitter about it, but there are so many little cliques on BookTube, and obviously that's great because the people that are in those cliques are obviously great friends and they met through the platform, but it can be so sad if you don't have a little group. And I thought about that in the video, and there were a few people that commented being oh my god, same. And I was like, oh, but everyone who's commented just being I'm lonely should just form a little group.
Yeah.
Because it is with BookTube, it's obviously because you're putting yourself out on the internet, and to feel like you're kind of speaking into the void can be so difficult. And so I think it is so nice when you see little communities.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm part of so many different cliques. That sounds really weird, but I don't see myself as part of a clique. But I mentioned with Aoife, me and her are part of another group chat with Rosie, who I'm so sad Rosie's not going to join us, but I think she's having a problem with her children, so more reasons not to have children. I mean, I'd love to have kids, but sometimes I just sit there and go,
no.
It's a bit. The fun thing about being an auntie is that you get a preview.
Yeah.
And the preview that I adore my niece with all of my heart, but there are times when I'm just I don't know if I could do this full time, because it takes up all of your brain just having a tiny child around, that you're just constantly just thinking, oh my god, where is she? Is she okay? Is she fed? Is she watered? Does she need an nappy changing? And I don't know if I could handle that 24/7 for the rest of my life.
I find it hard enough to remember to feed my hamster.
Yeah.
But do you not find, since moving in with my boyfriend and sort of adopting his dog, who loves me very much, and I'm so obsessed with it, I don't know, I tell him to do things and he does it. And recently, he doesn't eat unless I'm watching him eat. And if I tell him to go get his toy from downstairs, he'll go and get it and bring it to me. And I'm like, this small animal listens to me. So then I'm like, imagine a small child doing that. And I don't know, there's something about like the power of that kind of makes me like,
That's not children.
No, I know.
One reason I was incredibly broody from the age of 18 to 25. And honestly, up until this pandemic, I've desperately I say desperately wanted a child. I wouldn't say desperately, but the only reason I didn't have a child with my long-term ex-boyfriend was because I'm terrified of childbirth. Like,
which is fair.
Yes.
So I up until this pandemic, I've been like, oh, I'd really, really, really love a baby. And this pandemic has made me go, can you imagine a pandemic with a child? Oh, can you imagine? Like, I'm an essential worker. I've worked since like throughout the pandemic. And to not have childcare and not pass a child on to somebody else and have to constantly entertain them, I
know.
I think children are amazing and they're our future, and I think it's amazing like you said earlier, Charlotte, about your niece learning to talk, and I think it's all amazing, but I'm like, I'm so happy that wasn't me. And obviously he's my ex. It's a very good job we did not have a child together. But
that's the thing. I think it's like an ingrained thing that people don't ask you like if you're having kids. They ask you like, when are you having kids? Right? Like, I remember I just had this big breakthrough when I was like 13. I was like, wait, I don't need to do that.
Exactly.
And it was just such a revolutionary moment, thinking, wait, no, there's like another option. And then when I started thinking like, okay, well, option 1 or option 2, there were just like so many more cons than pros that I was like, well, why would I like risk it? Because people are saying like, you're so selfish for like wanting your lifestyle just to yourself. And I think it's kind of more selfish to have a child out of pressure, and then that child has to come because you don't actually want them.
Yeah. I think it's selfish to not be able to give yourself completely to your child, because they need a lot of love and attention.
It's true.
The excuse that I'm giving right now, if anybody asks, is that if I were to have a child, I mean, right, I'm single, so I'm like, there's nobody to have that question with. But I keep on saying to people, if they ask, I'm like, well, if I had a child, I could not give all of my attention to my niece, and that's not fair to her. Because right now she has Auntie Charlotte all the time, giving her all the presents and all the love, and I couldn't take that away from her. That would just be cool. So
I think a lot of pressure comes from my family, because my family are very young. Like, my dad was 22 when he had me, so he's like still a few years off 50. My younger brother, who unfortunately I don't have any contact with, he became a dad in October, so I'm technically an auntie, but very sadly don't title, even though he's beautiful. Like, I always felt this pressure to like have kids around the same age as my family, because my auntie was 19 when she had hers, my dad was 22, like my granddad was 47 when I was born. So it's like, I always feel like I should have achieved this by that, but I'm like, it's not like, achievement is like a weird word. Whereas I've been the first member of my family to leave our hometown, to go to university, to graduate. Like, my dad is telling me now that my clock is ticking, and I'm like, I have at least 10 years. Like, calm down. It isn't a big deal. And also, why would I have a child when I am renting?
Also true.
I know I'm not judging anyone else for their circumstances. I know a lot of people rent. But from my upbringing, my dad owned his house when I was born. So he bought his house when he was 21. Like, the background I am from, up north, Charlotte, you're probably like quite similar. Like, it's cheaper up north. Like, houses are still, one of my best friends just bought a 4-bedroom house for 110 grand up north. And I'm like, I can afford a 1-bedroom apartment right now.
I live about like 20 minutes on the train into London. So you can imagine how expensive it is here. And I was
live
like,
in London.
Yeah, like
So I'm looking for jobs down, well, for the jobs down there, and I keep on thinking, why am I doing this to myself?
yeah,
It's a good thing nobody's biting right now, because otherwise I'd just be like, oh.
yeah, like Tom owns this house, but since he bought, like, the price he bought this house for, I could afford. I have the deposit for. But in the 3.5 years since he bought this house, the house prices in Leicester have like increased by 50%.
yeah.
Like, it's. I was talking to Shannon recently about the house prices in Leicester, and I think since you were here like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
doubled.
Like basically,
Yeah.
in my second year of uni, the girl I lived with, her parents bought the house we lived in, which is a weird situation, but it was just the one I found myself in. And I swear the house cost about like £60,000 or something for like a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
And you know, like now I'm just like what? It was like about a 20-minute walk and 10 minutes or like 5 minutes on the bus into the town centre. So it wasn't even in one of the villages. It was like really close to town.
Like
Madness.
the mortgage I can get for my, and I have for the job, the pay is crap, but in general I get paid a decent wage in my job, and I can get 105 grand mortgage, and like for a 2-bedroom house it's at least 150. So I need a 45 grand deposit for a 2-bedroom house. Whereas like now with my savings, I've got about another 18 months before I can afford a house in Leicester. I could buy a house in my hometown, like a 3-bedroom house in my hometown now. But there's no business
Opportunities. No.
Yeah. Or there's some very well-paying jobs in the nuclear industry, but I've got no interest in the nuclear industry. I'm a vegetarian socialist.
Like if I compare the money I was getting as a team leader working for the University of Leicester in the accommodation department compared to where I work now, it's like the university I work in has got like the lowest rates for people coming into university. So we're like basically welcome anyone, which is quite nice because it means that we can help people who never thought they had the opportunity to go to university go to university. Mm-hmm. And I've got like no responsibility and I get paid like a ridiculous amount more. And you know, when you're like, how does that make sense? I just don't. I like, make it make sense. I don't understand.
I can't say exactly what my job is online because we're not allowed to associate with it in public, but it's intense. And
what you told me, like the amount that you get paid for what you have to do is just not.
Yeah, like the fact that I am responsible if one of my clients dies. I don't work for the NHS. And I'm not responsible for what somebody else puts into their body. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, not a fan.
It's crazy stuff like, because my boyfriend is just a temp for like the local council, but the sort of temp jobs that they place you in with no training and you just get thrown in the deep end, it's just crazy. And my dad like was a social worker like 20-30 years ago, and you know, he had like weekly check-ins with like a therapist just to make sure everything was fine, and you know, you had like some sort of care there for the work, like people that were working there, and that's just gone now. And I think not to get political, but like it's the Tories. Like, you know, cutting everything.
100%.
It's just horrific for people that are doing like the hardest jobs and they just get like the worst type of like thanks or like no thanks at all. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, the fact that we've worked through this entire pandemic and our pay rise has just been rejected. It's like,
well, so they rejected pay rise for nurses as well, didn't they?
Don't even get me started. Yeah. It makes me so angry.
but they approved the pay rise for the MPs who have
Of course.
completely fucked up this pandemic.
Yeah, it's awful.
Let's move on to some questions.
Yeah, Aoife put in loads, so let's answer some of them.
Aoife, favourite colour and why? Let's just not bother with that. Is there any book you wish you had read in 2020 but you've not got around to? That's a good question.
Mine would be The Obelisk Gate, because I absolutely loved the 5th season so much, and annoyingly with fantasy, I feel like to carry on the series I'm going to have to reread it, because even though I do remember going on to read the second one, I'm just going to be like, I don't understand who this person is or what's going on. And I was so excited when I finished it because I was like, this is great, but then I just couldn't get into the second one, and now I'm just like, oh dear.
So Shannon sent me the second book after we'd read the first one, because we were both like, we need to read this, we need to continue it. Like, let's have the rest of our book club for this year be the series. Yeah, I got like I read the first chapter, left it here, and then went home, and then was like, oh, I can't read that book now. And then when I got it back, I didn't pick it up.
I do Do you think it's because, like, I don't know about spoilers or anything, but the point of view of the second book compared to the first book is different, and that's what confused me?
I think for me it was purely the fact that I read a chapter and then left it here and then didn't pick it back and I'd started something else. But also I really struggle with series in general, particularly fantasy series. I'm just, don't give me a series. I'm crap at them. Give me all of the standalones.
It's the same as me now. That's good, because I just read the first one and then half of the second one and then just forget. And it's like 2 years later and I'm like, oh, too late now.
My strategy is just I wing it, like with the Shadowhunters books, which I'm still reading like since I was like 13. Like they're still coming out, and I just go into every new one being like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. By like the first third, I'm like, okay, like, it's enough. There's enough there that I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. But yeah, Cassandra Clare is one of those. She sometimes is, well, I think she's quite good at just like telling you what's going on, but like not in an annoying way. Because the thing is, like with Shadowhunters are like 15 books in, so if she started explaining like what runes are, I'd be like, no, I know this. It's 15 books. We know. But she's quite good at like when to bring in stuff that you've definitely forgotten. And so that's why I think I can specifically that series I'm quite good at picking back up. There are other ones that I'm like, I just don't start a series unless I like I can binge them. So like it's so annoying with the Throne of Glass series. I read the like first 5 books like back to back, and then I haven't read any of the new ones in like 4 years, just because I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Oh, but that's the same with me with Cassandra Clare, because as much as I may have outgrown it, I still love what she does with her writing and everything. And I've got Lady Midnight and Lord of Shadows, which are both massive, but it's been so long since I read City of Heavenly Fire that I'm like, I don't even know who these people are.
Yeah, Lady Midnight was actually has probably been my favorite one. And I think it's because they like it's a new setting, so it's set in LA. It's not in New York. Like the Clary and Jace, they have cameos in it, but I felt with Lady Midnight, it just felt like so new. And the stuff that she did bring in, I don't know if she meant it to be like a reset or like a chance for like new readers to come in, but that's kind of what it felt like. So like, you know, like young teens could come into that book, like not knowing anything, but also people who'd read it before could come in. And like the central relationship of that book is just what completely like hooked me. Because the whole like tension is that like they're parabatai and they're not meant to fall in love, and that's
what I'm excited for.
Yeah, and apparently, that's like it just revolves around that, and that's what sunk it for me. Yeah.
Okay, that's made me more excited now, because I was a bit like, do I get rid of them or do I keep them and carry on?
Keep them.
Yeah. Okay.
5 minutes starting now.
Sorry, Tom's cooking my dinner. I have until my dinner is ready, but I apparently have another half hour, so we'll just stay on until. I was going to say the first Kindle book I ever bought was City of Bones back in like 2008, maybe. But I never read any. Like, I started it and was like, I don't get the popularity of this.
Yeah, I think that I read them when like they'd only just come out. So one of my best friends from primary school, who we were both obsessed with books, and that's what I love. Like, she was my inspiration for like buying loads of books and stuff, because when we were younger, she had 2 massive bookcases lining her wall in her bedroom, and I was like, I just want this. This is what the life that I want. And so she told me about them, and then I found them in the library, and I read them when I was on holiday in Sicily, and I just was obsessed with them. And then after that, just I didn't love Clockwork Angel, because in that one she does re-explain everything for people, I think, who maybe just wanted to read that series. So I was a bit like, why?
Enough, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I was a bit like, why are you telling me all of this when I already know? But then the next 2 books are just so great.
That's such a good thing. I'm so nervous for like I'm so nervous for that BBC adaptation. And then so I found out about that they were making it, and then texted a couple of my friends and, oh my god, they're making Infernal Devices on the BBC. And I was like, we were like all going no, and then we realized, we're like, oh my god, wait, we're film graduates, could we work on it? Completely flipped. We're like, oh my god, let's go work on it, it'll be so much fun.
See, I love BBC like drama series. I feel like they do drama series really well, like Peaky Blinders and like loads of other ones that some people maybe haven't heard of. I'm obsessed with. But then I didn't watch The Miniaturist because I saw the trailer and was like, I don't like this. So I'm a bit like, it could be really good, but it could also be really bad.
I really enjoyed his Dark Materials, which is still coming out. I think it's amazing. Which is obviously like, it's in conjunction with HBO, so that's probably why it looks good, because all the money's probably coming from HBO. But I think the way that they've done it, like design wise, I think some of the writing is a bit clunky, which I'm not surprised, because it's written by Jack Thorne, who did like Cursed Child. So I didn't have a lot of hope when it was announced. I was like, no.
Like, oh no.
But the design of it is like beautiful, and I think they've cast it really well. So like I have some hope that like if the Shadowhunters one looks good, I'll forgive it, because the bar is so low for Shadowhunters adaptations. Having said that though, I loved the movie, and I got so annoyed when like it got cancelled because of all like the fan backlash. I was like, just give them a chance, because I love Lily Collins. I was like, just let her be quiet.
I watched it and I was like, this is really awful. But then the TV show came out and everyone was like, can we have the film people back, please? The film is so much better.
About that, because I was like championing the movie from day one. I saw it like 3 times in the cinema, like trying to like help the box office numbers. Like, yes, I want a sequel, and then it didn't happen. And then when the Netflix show came out, I was like, this is what you all deserve, because you all ruined the movie.
And talking about obviously good BBC adaptations of books, I feel like we have to talk about Normal People, because that is like a prime example. And it's for Charlotte's birthday, so
it's so good. I was in the bookshop the other day and I saw that they have the scripts out, and I was like, oh my god, I want the script so bad.
And did you get them for your birthday? Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
I will put off buying them then.
Okay, well, if you get a message tomorrow to be like something's coming in the post for Christmas, don't open it. Don't be surprised.
Oh, I can't distinguish between what's there for birthday and what's there for Christmas now. But yeah, no. Oh, I actually managed to get Tom to watch it, and he was like, "That was actually quite decent."
I'm trying to get like Foggers to watch it with me, because I mentioned it earlier, because I've been rewatching it. And last night I watched the episode in the villa, and I forgot how uncomfortable and awkward it is. And I was watching it and I was like, this is amazing that they've managed to like, I felt like I was there, and I was sat around that table, like just taking in. Oh,
have you used like the sound mixing to convince him?
That's a good point, because we were watching The Crown, and he was like, "Oh, is that Hans Zimmer?" And then he was like looking up who it was that was doing the music, because he's a music producer like Tom, which is interesting. And then I was listening to the soundtrack for Normal People, and it sounds very similar to The Crown. So I might be like, the music is very cool. I want to know who does this. Please watch it with me.
I can't. Tom, how did I convince you to watch Normal People? Was it the sex? I convinced him with the sex, apparently.
Oh, see, I was tempted, but I don't know. Because then I don't want... The thing is about their relationship is I don't want us to watch it and then, like, that be the expectation, because it's just, that's too high.
Yeah,
I mean, like, that's not real life.
I don't know if you heard him reply when I said, what convinced you? He said, you don't want to know, which is what made me say, was it the sex? I wasn't aware of that until this very minute. But I think I tried to say the acting is incredible. I said, you know, it's my favourite thing, you should watch it. But apparently, yeah, it was. Oh no, I definitely told him that I had to pause it at one point, and yeah.
Oh,
so
you do that too.
I think it was the sex.
Okay. No, I did mention about how the characters like are really interesting, and I want his opinion on just it generally, just because I'm interested, if that makes sense.
I think the male experience of mental health is a good thing to ask about, because I think
I thought that was so well done, because that's something that's not really in the book that much, and I like that they made it a lot more kind of explicit in the show.
Yeah, I think it is kind of implied in the book, but because obviously the first time I read the book, I gave it like 3 stars because I was like, I don't get it. And then I watched the TV program and I was like, okay, I understand now. And then I reread the book and got like so much more out of it. So I think it is implied, but I agree in like Paul just does such a good job. Just amazing. And the crying, just the crying.
Oh,
I know.
Oops.
Whoopsie.
I've had a bit of a second.
Oh no.
Sorry, I'm sending you.
I'm scared.
No, don't be scared. This was the real answer to how I got him to watch Normal People.
I love that. I'm going to try that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't share it with everybody.
No, I like that. That's very good.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we move on? Aoife's next question. What do you think will be your first book of 2021?
Well, it won't be the first one, but as in the first one that I finish. But me and Kieran are doing a read along, which you're all welcome to participate in. You probably won't want to though. Of Les Mis.
Yes, I bought a copy of Les Mis years ago. I actually bought it in Leicester Waterstones in like 2013, and I've wanted to read it ever since and just never got around to it.
That blows my mind. Does that mean that we were in Leicester at the same time?
Yeah.
I dated somebody who lived in Leicester while I was at.
Okay, that's fine. No, it's just a bit like weird. Yeah. But I do want to read Les Mis, but like, what's the span of time you give to be reading it?
So I think it's going to be at the very least January to March, because it's a reread for me, because I really wanted to do it again because I loved it so much when I read it the first time. It's a first read for him, but I think that's kind of good because we've set up a Discord for it, and I've kind of gone through it and like sectioned everything off so that people can talk in like, it's something like 50 to 70 page section, so you're not having to feel like you've really got to race to catch up. And also because it's me, I've put the corresponding songs to each little section, because I'm like, I'm sure somebody is going to care about like the musical to book to musical adaptation.
That does make me want to read it along with you, because I think reading,
I think they do a really good
like,
job. So that's January. So obviously it will take a while to finish. Because like the first time I read it, it was like I did not read anything but Les Mis for about a month. And it was still a good month that it took me to read it. And I thought I did a very good job because it's a lot. And it's like Victor Hugo going on digressions about the Battle of Waterloo and the Paris sewage system. And you're like, this is great, Victor, but
I need something else.
but then because I've been going through which sections, it's reminded me like bits that aren't in the musical that I love from the book. So I'm really, really excited for it. But I'm hoping somebody does want to read it as well as it, because I think it should be fun.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I've got it, but I haven't finished it. Yeah. So that'll be a next year book, I think, as well. But it probably not at the same time, because that'd be too much.
I really want to prioritize the books that I got for my birthday, because I feel slightly guilty that my birthday last year people sent me books for that I haven't got to yet. And I feel like if I buy the book, that's fine, but if somebody else has bought me the book, I'm like, do you like, I value your friendship so much, I don't want you to think that I'm using your friendship for free books. Like, I sit there and I'm like, I need to read it. Like my friend Hannah, she might be watching, I don't know, she sends me books like all the time, and I've had to ask her in the past, like, please don't send me so many books, because I feel bad when they just sit there, like, doing nothing. And she sent me 2 for my birthday, and I'm like, Hannah. Ooh, if you're still taking audience questions, this ghost will pass through here. Oh, I don't know who you are, sorry, but welcome to the chat. If you're still taking audience questions, what's the best book for a cozy Christmassy night in? Go on.
Little Women. Even though it's chunky, it starts the first page. It's Christmas.
The one you have is really not.
My one was tiny. It's because the font is really, really small.
Oh.
And I wanted to ask the question of whether mine was Good Wives and Little Wives.
Where does your copy end?
It ends where everyone is happy and older.
Everyone is happy and older.
Not every.
You got the full edition.
I think Little Women Without Good Wives ends with Meg's just about to get married, and like Aunt March has done the whole test as to whether or not she loves him or not. Or something like that.
I've got the whole one then.
Yeah.
But yeah, mine's like, I was surprised I opened it and it was tiny text. And like an entire chapter was on 2 pages, and I was a bit like, wee.
Have you got the Penguin Library? What are they called?
No.
The Penguin Pretty.
My mum got mine off Amazon, and I think it's just Amazon have just printed the text. It's a bit odd. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you've got like a black cover with gold.
Brown and like, it's very strange.
So I bought Little Women for my friend bought me a gift card for my birthday last year, and I bought Little Women. And then when I finished Little Women, I realised it was only the first volume. So I had to buy the Good Wives separately, and I haven't read Good Wives yet. Because I love the film so much.
I can see why people don't like Good Wives as much, because I think I've been spoiled for what happens in the film, and I do believe the film and the book are different. And I think I would like both of them regardless.
Yeah,
but...
because I think Greta Gerwig has written the ending how Louisa May Alcott wanted it to end, or how it's perceived she would have preferred it to end, and has a little bit of a discussion about why the ending is the way it is.
Okay.
And I like that. What I like about it is it's also ambiguous, and you can kind of like insert what you want. Because like my mum turned to me after watching it and she was like, she does marry him, doesn't she? And I was like, If you want to believe she married him, then yes, of
Yeah.
course she does.
That's the question.
Yeah,
for-
isn't there some like insinuation as well that potentially she had to like Louisa was kind of put under pressure by a publisher to like make it a certain way? That's kind of like the insinuation. So
I agree that Little Women is a fantastic read for a cozy night in. As somebody who doesn't enjoy thrillers, I will say a classic mystery is really good at Christmas. And by a classic mystery, I mean I don't want to recommend Agatha Christie because I think she's really racist and a lot of people don't acknowledge that. But I read a book recently called The Lake District Murder. By recently, I mean I read it about 4 years ago. But that, yeah, that features my hometown because I'm from the Lake District. But that series, which is like classic mysteries in like these really cute like vintage covers, they do quite a few Christmas ones. So I would highly recommend those. I think those are just really beautiful and cozy. And Christmas anthologies. I'm not going to recommend any in particular, but if you can get hold of a short story collection of Christmas books, I think those are perfect to read with a hot chocolate.
I also think that like Charles Dickens is very Christmassy. Like I know A Christmas Carol, weirdly, I didn't find it particularly Christmassy. I found it difficult to get into when I first read it. Then by the end it's all like, oh yay, this is lovely. Whereas Great Expectations for me is like really Christmassy for some reason, and I don't know why. And Oliver, I think it's because I watch Oliver every Christmas because it's always on the telly.
Yeah, I always think of the Boy for Sale scene when walking in the snow. So then I think Christmas. Oh, I want to watch that now.
Annoyingly, like my go-to, because I'm quite like a nostalgic person, my go-to was always like kind of childhood favorites, and obviously like Harry Potter has a lot of scenes in the snow, and it's just annoying now that I can't even talk about it.
Yeah, I still feel so sad about the whole.
Yeah. So I'm trying to like not replace it because obviously I've just like acknowledged I've made peace with it now that I can't just erase it and replace it. That's just not going to be possible. So I'm going to try like this Christmas maybe like get back into his Dark Materials, so like Northern Lights, because I've been loving the TV show, and there are so many like comments on Twitter each week like, oh, they've changed this from the books. I can't remember. I read it when I was so young, and it's like so like it's not necessarily Christmassy, but it's so wintry, and I feel like it's a really nice kind of cozy thing because obviously it's like set in the north. There's like the polar bears, like all the kind of Bolbanger set is like all very kind of cold, and it's just very atmospheric, and it's obviously like a very good story as well. And I feel like that's good for like winter time, not necessarily Christmas, but just winter time.
Yeah, and to bring that back to, I know Kayla isn't watching anymore, but she might come back and see it in the future. Like that's another fantasy recommendation for beginners. I think is his Dark Materials.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'll just put a call out. There's still a few people watching, so I'll just give a call out. If you have any questions for us to talk about in the next like 15 to 20 minutes, just pop them in the chat and we can talk about them.
What are we all like reading at the moment? I'm just nosy.
Like 5 different books because I'm insane. Like, what is wrong with me?
I'm finding it very difficult to focus on one particular thing at the minute. Partly because for like half of November I was so ill that I just couldn't read. But I'm still reading a book for uni. We've had the lecture, but I want to finish the book, which is called Woman's World by Graham Rawle, which is about a transvestite. Terminology used literarily rather than any other identification way. I'm in the middle of Becoming by Michelle Obama and Unfollow by Megan Phelps Roper. I'm in the middle of a lot of books. I just can't seem to finish anything right now.
I started Orlando. Weirdly, I'm going to tell you this now. At the beginning, I was like, I'm really into this. I really like Virginia Woolf's writing. I think I'm one of these weird people that actually really enjoys her writing. but now it's starting. I'm confused. Like, it was making sense at the beginning, and now I'm just like, I'm confused. I don't understand, but we'll see, because I'm only like on page 40 or something. I started the Illumination University of Flight. I'm also like halfway through a poetry collection. I'm halfway through the Normal People scripts, and I think there's something else I've also started, and I'm just like, why have I done this to myself? Because then I never know which book I want to read, because I'm like, I want to read, but which one? There's too many options.
Yeah.
I got Christmassy books on the go, so I've got this, A Christmas Cornucopia, which is a little diddy little thing, which will make me feel like I'm actually making progress with my reading this year, because I feel like I've just slowed right down, and I don't know if it's just the general feeling, not just COVID, but also like November with the election, my brain was just not in a focused state, because I spent the entire week just checking online to see what was happening. So I feel like that's kind of carried through. I feel like maybe I won't be calm until like mid-January with the not significant thing that is happening then. We hope.
Oh, yeah, going back.
Sorry, God.
It's not happening. It's not happening. I'm in denial. I have been for the last 4.5 years.
But yeah, I've got that, and then I'm slowly making my way through this beautiful thing.
Oh, I like
So
that.
that won't be done until end of February, because it's a February one.
When did that start?
1st of December.
Oh, I'm a bit late then.
Well, you can catch it. But no, got that, and then I've got Letters to Father Christmas on audiobook, which is J.R.R. Tolkien's letters that he wrote to his children, and it's so cute. Because I'm actually not a massive Lord of the Rings book fan, but I find his writing in his Father Christmas really charming. So I'm like, that's me.
I don't want to read Lord of the Rings, but the Christmassy lettery thing is, I'm tempted, because Mary from Mary Among Stories raved about it, and that sold it for me. I was just like, I want this now.
Well, it's got all of the things that you think about Tolkien with, like his love of language and history is in there. But I found reading Lord of the Rings really dry. It did nothing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like films. Films are all right. But when I'm reading it, I'm like, this is so boring. What? And where are the women, frankly? Like, what's going on?
They don't come in until the very end.
Yeah, isn't there like one woman throughout the entire thing?
And she's the most important character of the whole series. But I have read Fellowship of the Ring, and I have watched the Fellowship of the Ring and the Return of the King. I have no idea what happens in the Two Towers. I was just the best
Like,
I have them all on extended edition, but it's been a very long time, and who knows when. I feel like that's like, it's a thing that you marathon with your friends, and there's just no opportunity to do that right now. So
yeah, no, that's a very good point, actually, because I think to watch it by yourself is like quite sad.
You're trying to get all your snacks together, like all your drinks, and then you're having a great time.
Yeah. I tried.
But you're not disturbed,
and it just didn't work for me. I stopped reading like that council bit where it's just like an info dump. He just stands up. He's like, "Here's all the stuff." I'm like, "No," and I put it down like with the intention of picking it back up, and that was like 7 years ago. So
yeah, I read the first book about 4 years ago, like maybe three. Like, I know I was reading it in the first flat after uni, which I was in from 2016 to 2017. So it's been at least 3.5 years since I read the first one. I'm like, can I pick up a second? Should I just like watch the film? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the cooking is going on in the background, so it might get a bit loud.
All right. I tried to read The Hobbit when the Hobbit films came out. I think like my dad or my mum bought me the book, and because it's short, I was like, this is fine, I can get through this. I got like 30 pages in, and I was like, this is so boring.
That is
my god.
Next to Jane Austen and Wuthering Heights, probably the most difficult book I ever read. And like, I don't mean as in like bad, I just mean that was not the quick, easy children's read I thought it was going to be.
I find it also with Narnia. I think there's something about that kind of period with children's books where it's just too dry and there's not enough, I don't know, like emotion and like relationship. Because I love like very relationship heavy, character focused books, and I don't think you get them from that kind of fantasy from that period. And maybe that's generalization, but it just doesn't do anything for me.
No, I get exactly what you mean. I did my A-level literature essays on religion in children's literature. So I did The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and His Dark Materials. And just, I thought they were fascinating to study, but to read. They were not the easy. I thought children's literature, this is easy. No.
I think especially like you've grown up with like Jacqueline Wilson, and that they are so like the characters are what make those books. So when you look at older stuff where it's just not prioritized, and like I respect so much C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, like for the world building and like language, and like I wouldn't have a lot of my favorite books without them, but I still don't want to sit down and read them.
What's interesting is that I'm really into.
I think
I feel like I'm always speaking over people. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Go ahead. Talk least.
With Jacqueline Wilson, like there's a really good book, Jackie Davis, like autobiography of like when she was a kid, and she talks about all of those like really classics children books and how they kind of don't work for her. And like when she was a kid, that's why she started writing, is because she wanted books about like kids that felt real and that had problems, because her parents were like obviously arguing all the time. She had not a great home life, and she wanted to read about that, but all of the books at the time were about kind of like middle class privileged children, like Mary Poppins and all of this. And I think that's what makes her books really like interesting, is that she definitely writes from that point of view of like what she's writing is what she wanted to read, and I think that's why they feel so kind of vibrant.
I feel like you could write a whole essay about like our generation growing up with Jacqueline Wilson, and also like how we politically engage as well, because I feel like there's so much influence on that. Because there's like I had a very like I would say I had like a very sheltered upbringing where there wasn't a lot of turbulence, so to read other stuff and be like, oh no, not everybody is like you. And there are other things going on outside of your little bubble. I think that's so helpful, and I think older generations don't necessarily have that right from when they're a child.
It's very true.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Tom's just indicated I have 5 minutes left till my dinner is ready. So I think if we start wrapping up, does anyone have any like last minute questions, or should we end on the next book we plan on reading? Let's go to the next book we plan on reading then. So, Rosie's just texted to say she's only just got her little boy down to sleep. So that's why she's not been able to join us. Another reason to if you want friendship. Children do not care about your schedule. Yeah. I totally don't mean that in any way. Wonderful. It's just like coming back to an earlier topic of conversation. So for me, have you all seen the picture I posted of the books I got for my birthday? It's going to be one of them, and I'm really stuck because I want to read all of them. I think it's got to be Frankenstein by Jeanette Winterson.
I knew you were going to say that, and I was going to vote for that, and I thought about buying you that one, but I'm so glad someone else did, because it's such a you present.
Why did you not? This is not why didn't you?
Why didn't you?
One of the things I've been asking Tom all day is like, why did you buy that? Like, I like people's thought processes.
I think it depends on the time.
We've lost Charlotte.
Because there's so many times I've like scrolled. Oh no.
Yeah, you're back.
There's so many times I've like scrolled through and thought, and I'll get that one. But this time I wasn't feeling it. I think it might be the season. I don't know.
Because I have both of Stacey Hall's books now. I've got The Familiars and The Founding. So she's obviously very popular. But you'll see this when I upload my birthday book haul, which I will film like an addendum to it of the other things that I know are now waiting, but I didn't want to wait past my birthday to open them. When I opened Frankenstein and read the blurb, Tom was like, I was filming and then I had my camera in front of me and then Tom was behind the camera and his face was just like, what is this?
What is this?
Queer Frankenstein retelling set against Brexit. What is going on? Like,
Jeanette Winterson, obviously.
Yeah, I'm laughing so much because all I can see is him like, what's this? And then I had to go, Jeanette Winterson is my favourite author. So I'm very excited to get to all of those books, even the one that was sent to me by a mystery person who hasn't owned up to it yet. But I think I will read Frankenstein first.
I'm excited to hear what you think because I also really want to read it.
I'm so excited.
So, yeah.
I've got I do have out from my library's audiobook app Centuries of Change by Ian Mortimer, who wrote a fiction book which is like historical time travel, which I read about a month ago, and that was all about they're escaping the Black Death, so they get transported 99 years into the future for the next 6 days of their life, and then they die. Spoilers. But how things have changed in each 99 years that goes by, and how they can't really adapt to it, and it just you take things for granted and they're not there anymore. And it's basically like the non-fiction equivalent of that book, where he's talking about which century saw the most change in like social and technological, and so I'm really keen to read that next. But yeah, it's a bit different,
I think I've got 2 Shakespeare plays left to read for this year, for my year of Shakespeare. I didn't read November's one, so I'm a bit behind. I know, which was Richard III, and I think that's why I didn't read it, because it's my first history and it's massive, and it's a history, and I'm scared. So I think that has to be the next one I read to catch up, because I want to finish this year and say that I've done it all, because then I'm going to be like,
Leicester, you have to read it.
That's why I picked it, exactly. So, but I'm scared.
Good luck.
I know. But fingers crossed I get through it quickly because it's a play. But I'm scared.
Yeah. What was the December one for?
The Winter's Tale, which I'm excited for because I read The Gap of Time earlier this year, which is a retelling of The Winter's Tale by Jeanette Winterson. So I already know the story, so I'm very excited to get to that one.
Yeah. Anna, what's your next read?
I'm currently reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and because that was very hyped on BookTube, and so I bought it on a whim. And then I was in a bookshop the other day getting Chris's presents, and then I saw that they had a signed edition of like the companion novel, which was like Tales from the Cafe. And I was like 10 pages into Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So I was like, I don't even know if I like it yet. But because it was signed, I was like, I can't not. So I got that. So I think that'll be the next one that I read, just because it's like the companion novel. But yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Tom has plated up my dinner, so I'm going to have to go. I've got, if anyone's interested, because I'm a narcissist, it's homemade vegan orange chicken. So I'm very excited. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed it. It's been really lovely. I have everybody's channels linked in the description. So those of you who are watching, go and subscribe to my lovely friends because their channels are amazing and you'll enjoy them. Yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you very much.
Happy birthday!
I'll speak to you all very soon, and we'll keep our group chat going.
It's been so lovely.
It'd be nice to meet all of you that I've not seen before.
Yeah, exactly, properly. It's been so nice.
It's been so nice. I definitely will be on the group chat, so you'll be sick of me soon.
No, we won't be. Or okay. Ooh.
Oh my god, that's so nice. I'm hungry.
Right, I'll speak to you all soon.
Night.